These celebrities and, quote, influential people sure do love their private islands that they usually ship small children into to do whatever they want to with.
Why are you acting like a bloody fool? If you get hot, then you must get cool. Bad boys, what you gonna do?
This, as some of those individuals have actually fled the country, as we have some very surprising developments about the story of the decade, a story that the corporate media has been trying to make sure goes away. It's not, especially now with the new Trump administration, as of course we got some bombshell statements from MTG talking about one of our greatest ally that no longer might be an ally, which could signal some bigger disclosures at hand here. All of this as Prince Andrew probably will be going down one way or another for the horrible atrocities that he has allegedly, quote, committed against small children, as the royal family usually does. I wanted to do another deep dive because there's some other insight, especially after that James O'Keefe reveal that we're going to be getting into as well in this particular video, as this is, I would say, single-handedly the most important topic for Donald Trump to get right during his administration. The question is, will he? Well, we hope so. Before playing MTG's clip here, which I think hit the nail on the head here, describing how many foreign governments are involved here, describing how a lot of the more serious information, data, photos, videos probably already has been destroyed, which is the conclusion that we came to a long time ago as well. We talked about this. We talked about what we were hearing and the rumblings, the rumors, and how essentially a lot of the big players that were a part of this international child trafficking and extortion operation, they washed their hands. They covered it up pretty successfully as soon as Donald Trump won election. And of course, they made sure not to keep the records of them committing some of the most awful, horrible things in the face of the earth. Now, but there's one person, though, that has been implicated, that a lot of people are talking about. And that, of course, is the Queen's former favorite son. And that, of course, is Prince Andrew, as we have this article from The Sun that reads, "Major blow to Prince Andrew," as bombshell video taken by Epstein, which shows royal with Virginia, set to be released. A source claims a specific personal detail could be highly embarrassing for Prince Andrew, a man that went on national television and said, "No, I never met Virginia Giuffre. I never met Maxwell. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here." As his car crash interview was definitely fascinating to watch, as he was saying, "This is not true. That photo's fake. That's on my hand. That's on my arm. I can't sweat." Wait. Really? Can you provide some medical? No. Can you provide medical records? This is a court of law now asking you, not just a journalist. As during personal person, I'll settle. Let me write the check. Write the check right now. He wrote the check. He wrote the check to Virginia Giuffre, who no longer here is with us. This, as some people are saying, that there were some suspicious circumstances surrounding that particular event here, but we also have this article here from the Daily Mail. Secret Epstein footage that could show Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre is set to be released in the United States. All of this as Pam Bondi was describing how there are tens of thousands of videos, 4+ terabytes of information surrounding Epstein doing horrible, awful things to small children. Now, of course, if you're videotaping, if you have all the data, if you have all the records, you're going to have the people who are hanging out and doing all that stuff on record too. Now, who do we know was close associates with Epstein? Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Chris Tucker, who left Hollywood very mysteriously, hasn't really gotten a role, and then went on and found God, as of course he flew on that jet as well here. Now, this is big here, because now we got confirmation from the Attorney General of the United States there actually is video records that FBI agents and the Department of Justice are going through. Now, the fact that the FBI is going through this when their agency was so involved in covering up and allowing all of this to happen is a little bit of a red flag for me personally. But the fact that the tapes have been acknowledged is big here because now we know that they exist. When previously we had statements from the FBI saying, oh, the tape, they just went missing. They were labeled very conveniently like they were by the FBI already labeled for us when we found them. That was interesting. When we open up the safes, but then this is the official story that we had from FBI field offices, and this could have been the situation that unfolded in one of the locations, but the FBI here absolutely didn't do their jobs. They didn't raid all the properties. There's still multiple properties that they didn't even look at, didn't even want to look at. There's one story that they gave out saying, oh, we just left the safe open, and then the tapes just went missing during our raid. We don't know what happened. It looks like there's some other tapes here. Now, Pam Bondi admitting that there's tapes is a big, significant deal here, as the question still remains. What happened to Virginia? We're getting into that question, as well as Project Veritas and James O'Keefe in a little bit. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where you can get the shirt that I'm wearing right now that says ungovernable. You just type in ungovernable, and then you're able to find this shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And then, of course, we have different styles, different formats. We have sweaters. We have women's T-shirts. We have tank tops. You name it. We got it all on wearechange.shop. We got a lot of really great, fun stuff. We just released some new ones that say Slavic Lives Matter. I like this one. You know, if we're going to be cheerleading for any kind of racial ethnic group, it should be mine. I'm being facetious there. But another shirt that we released that's related to the topic that we're talking about here is this one that says, where's the Epstein list? Question mark. And it's written like, the Make America Great font. And we also have this available in a hat as well that reads, where's the Epstein list? A question that a lot of people have been having here, as there has been some speculation, some doubt here. Now, we were, on the forefront of this story for a very long time. When the corporate media was still cheerleading Epstein, we were calling it out. And we took multiple risks, and we were, threatened, we were accused. We dealt with so much adversity talking about this particular story. We never stopped. But once we were demonetized, we started a T-shirt company just to make sure that we were able to survive, because this is a serious topic. YouTube sometimes doesn't like these serious topics. And we said, you know what? We're fully demonetized because we're talking about Epstein. We're going to make T-shirts, and we're going to make the general public wear these T-shirts out there to the normies so we could get the message across without ever being censored ever again. And you guys could be the billboards out there. And then, of course, they came from the T-shirts, and then BuzzFeed wrote an article saying, look, these guys are bad. We are changed. Look, they're talking about Epstein. We got to get rid of them. And then a bunch of companies delisted us, deleted our content, and destroyed our T-shirt store. And we're like, you son of a guns. It took us a while. We figured it out. Now we're working with another company that's pretty good. And go out there, support them, check them out, because it's our company that we are working in collaboration with them. And getting these hats, getting these shirts definitely helps put up the public pressure out there to remind the government that, hey, this is an issue that we can't sweep under the rug. This is an issue that we can't forget. This is an issue that we should have some timelines on. We should at least have a little bit of information saying, yeah, we're actually going to give you A and B. There's actually going to be some kind of oversight, transparency, and accountability here, as this is a very careful matter here. And our take on all of this from the kind of beginning here was always to put thoughts and prayers for the people that are working to bring a light to this extremely dangerous, insane frickin' story, as this story involves some of the most powerful entities on the world, if not the most powerful entity in the world, that is trying to, of course, not be held responsible for committing some of these horrible actions. And they have multiple ways to skin a cat. They have multiple ways to threaten, to hurt people. And we have always prayed for the courage and the safety of Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, to do the right thing here in this particular case here. There's been a lot of hiccups. There's been a lot of mistakes made. Let's just be honest with ourselves. But I think MTG here, Congresswoman, who has definitely been a firebrand, definitely hit the nail on the head, and she corroborates what I've been saying for quite a long time, and that is the big likelihood that a lot of the information is already deleted, already destroyed, already covered up here. This is what she had to say with Cenk Uygur.
Epstein files. How disappointed are you that they have not come out yet? And do you have a theory as to why they haven't?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me about that. You know what I've been saying for quite a few years now is I guarantee you most of that information has already been destroyed. I can't imagine that it still exists. And I would like to, of course, we want to see all the information, but I just think it's been destroyed. That's my own personal opinion. But I think there's other foreign countries that probably have information on that as well. And it would be nice if they would release the information that they have.
Yep, it was a multi-agency operation that, of course, made this as complicated as it is right now here, as Ghislaine Maxwell's father was very much connected to MI5 and the Mossad. There's also connections to Russia, and some believe that he wasn't just a double agent, he was a triple agent. And this was one of the biggest media moguls. This was the Murdoch of the United Kingdom that controlled the flow of information, but was also involved in this kind of operation that, of course, we all know about, that ended with him mysteriously going out on a boat outing and then never being found ever again.
Oh, that's interesting. Which foreign countries do you think might have information about that?
I would guess some of our greatest allies, Israel, probably has information there. I would not be surprised at all if they did. The UK, I bet, would have information. I'm not sure who else, but I would suspect those countries.
Are you disappointed that the Trump administration has not put it out yet?
I'm disappointed that many administrations haven't put it out. The Biden administration.
I'm very disappointed because, yeah, there's thousands of children that were hurt here, and there's thousands of children that are continued to be hurt here. And this should be priority number one for Donald Trump here, because when we're talking about the most powerful people in the world that have been getting away with hurting children for 30 plus years that we know about, right? These are people that play by a different set of rules. These are people that have compromise and extortion on the Bill Gateses of the world that are utilizing and pushing them and making them pawns for their agenda. A lot of their agenda is pro-war, pro-human trafficking, pro-destruction of human freedom, and some of the most secretive, covert, black ops type of, black budget type of stuff that is absolutely evil. A lot of people believe that these people are demonically possessed, and to hurt small children, yeah, you have to be. Let's just be real with ourselves here. There's a level of deprived behavior, especially when it comes to robbing the youngest in our society of innocence, that these people, the most powerful people on the face of this earth here, are committing and doing that is absolutely awful.
Administration should have put it out. I think a lot of people should have put it out. But again, I'll go back to this. I have a hard time believing that it all still is there.
Yeah. Any theories on what happened?
I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. Do I think he committed suicide? Nope, I don't think so. But again, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
A very good statement, as of course, Kash Patel was recently asked, hey, do you think Epstein off himself? And he was like, yeah, the officials. I'm like, Kash, what are you doing here? So disappointing. As soon as we heard a lot of problems regarding Virginia Giuffre, automatically I should have done a better job. But I said, hey, this is the time the DOJ, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel goes and reaches out to Virginia Giuffre. And then shortly afterwards, we found out that she did meet her end here, as her father came out and said that he doesn't believe that Virginia did it to herself here. There's also a very emotional moment. 60 Minutes in Australia actually did a surprisingly good video about the Virginia Giuffre saga here. Here's just the introduction of it that I thought was very well done and worth watching. It's a 10-minute segment, but it's a good video.
Coming up,
Her words, her actions started a movement of change.
remembering Virginia Giuffre's incredible bravery.
It's really hard being back here. It should be ripped down. It should be burned to the ground.
The woman who fought to tell the truth.
She put Epstein in prison. She put Maxwell in prison.
This is a real photo.
She had Prince Andrew stripped of his titles.
After a shocking abuse of power.
While Virginia could face many demons, that moment was more than she could handle.
Yep. Let's be honest. As soon as Virginia started to post troubling information about herself, especially the renal failure, the hospital thing, I was like, something's up here. Something's weird here. And, there's different ways that we could kind of try to understand this from a conspiracy point of view, from a rational point of view. We do have to understand here she was going through a lot of emotional distress here, whether that was orchestrated, organized. I mean, people who deal with that amount of abuse, especially as a child, do have behaviors that are very evidently clear, like they were represented through Virginia. Her lawyer came out and definitely had a very interesting thing to say here during the 60-minute segment that I thought was also very poignant and important to listen to.
I was concerned about her physical health. Frankly, Virginia is always someone to rally. So every time I talked to her, she could find the sunny side of something. So she was still very uplifted, and we were focused on getting her care in the United States.
Did you fear that she might take her own life?
I did not fear that. I used to say that we had broken through the lawyer-client line because she would sign her emails, "I love you, Siggy." And, she was just a dear person in my life. And I think that, the world will not be the same without her. It just won't be.
Wow. So what really happened to Virginia, as even her lawyer says, I didn't think she was going to do this. That's a question that I think is worth asking and worth talking about. This is something that cannot go away. And we saw, specifically from James O'Keefe, with one of his undercover videos with Prince Andrew's and the royal family's advisor, John Bryan, coming out saying, I was pissed off. He lied to me. I was covering up something that later I found out was a lie. This shows you how this story cannot go away, how Prince Andrew needs to be held accountable. As, let's just be honest with ourselves, the other kind of disclosure with Pam Bondi there definitely wasn't the best of luck for Project Veritas and James O'Keefe here, as there was video of Pam Bondi at a restaurant telling random people how there's tens of thousands of videos of children being hurt here. And then James O'Keefe had that video. He teased that video. Pam Bondi found out about it and then did a press conference where she released that herself before James was able to. And overall, this is not the best of looks here to Project Veritas and OMG and James O'Keefe, to be quite honest with ourselves here. The royal family advisor stuff, that's important, and I think that deserves a lot more credit. The PR that led up to this, let's be honest with ourselves. Lots of build-up, lots of hype, lots of sensationalism, and it kind of took away from the bigger oof of this story, which I think deserves a lot more attention than it actually has. This Pam Bondi story was a little bit more of a kind of nothing burger here, and I think it could have been pulled off in a more diplomatic way. Let's just be real with ourselves here. And overall, I still do like James O'Keefe. I think he has done incredibly important work, but I think this Pam Bondi story could have been handled a little bit better personally. This John Bryant story, big story, should be a lot bigger than it actually is, especially when it comes to disclosures of how he was manipulated and forced to lie about Epstein doing horrible stuff here. That's just my honest opinion on it. Let's keep the pressure up in an honest, respectful, kind of diplomatic way. I appreciate all you guys supporting me, getting the t-shirt, supporting all the work that we have done in this particular saga. It wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for you guys being here with us every step of the way. Get the shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.